Well, welcome to America.
The tale unfolds with a mission to apprehend a group of illegal immigrants crossing the America-Mexico border, featuring collaboration between the CIA and special forces. Amidst the operation, one man escapes, heading towards a ravine. On the precipice, he unveils a bomb from his bag, offering prayers before triggering an explosion that claims his life and those of 4 security officers. In response, the American government swiftly deploys special forces to investigate this tragic incident. Simultaneously, a group of suspicious individuals infiltrates a grocery store in Kansas City, triggering sudden bomb explosions akin to the earlier border incident. Similar to the man at the ravine, these bombers engage in prayer before detonating, causing havoc and casualties. With a wave of terror persisting, United States Secretary of Defense James Riley takes a stand, delivering a speech where he issues stern threats to the terrorists and pledges to apprehend them promptly. Enter the formidable CIA operative, Matt Graver, known for his ruthless tactics. Currently, he and his forces embark on a mission in the Gulf of Somalia, aiming to eradicate a criminal group secluded in a remote location. The following day, Matt interrogates the group's leader, Basir, who initially denies involvement in the Kansas bombing orchestrated by Yemenis. However, Matt discerns Basir's role in providing terrorists access to sail to Mexico. Pressing further, Matt inquires about the paymaster behind these activities, but Basir remains tight-lipped. Faced with reluctance, Matt resorts to drastic measures, involving Basir's sibling. Eventually, Matt extracts information from Basir, revealing a connection between the terrorists and the formidable cartel leader, Carlos Reyes, reigning in Mexico's criminal underworld. Meanwhile, we encounter Miguel, an unstable teenager residing in the border area, habitually skipping school. He spends his days with cousin Hector until an invitation into the cartel, where Hector works, changes the trajectory of his life, enticed by the allure of money and joining the organization. The narrative shifts to Matt Graver, now back in the United States. Wastes no time, he heads straight to meet with James, accompanied by ministry staff Cynthia Furtz. As Matt enters the room, a meeting begins, setting the stage for a complex web involving cartels, terrorism, and covert operations. In his assessment, Matt Graver identifies Mexican drug cartels as the true terrorists, orchestrating chaos in America through collaborations with other terrorist groups to facilitate their smuggling operations. To counter this menace, Matt conceives an audacious plan, inciting conflict between the 2 major cartels in Mexico, Matamoros and the one led by Carlos Reyes. The linchpin of this risky strategy involves the kidnapping of Carlos's youngest daughter, Isabelle. The revelation shocks everyone, acknowledging the extreme peril of such an operation. Despite the danger, there's a sense of inevitability, leading James to authorize Matt to employ unorthodox methods with one crucial condition: American special forces cannot be involved. This compels Matt to assemble a mercenary army to execute the mission. Under the cover of night, Matt engages a third party, Troy, to enlist mercenaries and procure weapons, with the ministry covering all expenses. Subsequently, Matt swiftly travels to Bogotá to confer with his trusted ally, Alejandro, the most ruthless hitman in Latin America. Here, Matt discloses that their target is none other than Carlos Reyes. Matt's enlistment of Alejandro is fueled by a shared vendetta: Carlos's involvement in the massacre of Alejandro's family. Killing Carlos becomes a personal mission for Alejandro, a way to avenge his family's tragedy. To set the wheels in motion for the cartel conflict, Alejandro meticulously plans the assassination of the Matamoros cartel's lawyer. Prior to the lethal act, he instructs the lawyer to wear glasses, ensuring he witnesses the face behind the impending retribution. The brutal execution becomes headline news, diverting public attention as Matt and his team proceed with their mission to abduct Isabelle. Meanwhile, Isabelle remains oblivious at her school, embodying her father's insolence. Regular clashes with classmates stress out her teachers, yet the school refrains from expulsion, sheltering her due to her father's influence. As the school bell rings, Isabelle, guarded by her security detail, remains unaware of the impending danger. In a tactical move, Matt disrupts all signals in the vicinity and blocks Isabelle's car. Swiftly, Matt and his team swoop in to abduct Isabelle, concealing her identity by covering her head. The covert operation unfolds, hidden from the watchful eyes of Isabelle's security detail. In a strategic move, Alejandro manipulates one of Isabelle's bodyguards, assuming the role of a Matamoros cartel member to discreetly relay information to Carlos Reyes. Simultaneously, Matt closely monitors Carlos's residence, creating a facade of a shooting incident nearby, attributing it to Carlos's men. Capitalizing on the chaos, Matt instructs the surveillance team to pinpoint Carlos's location. While Matt orchestrates these maneuvers from the communication room, Alejandro transports Isabelle to a secure location. However, as Isabelle is still kept unaware of Alejandro's identity, she is confined to a room. Alejandro, adopting the guise of an American policeman, collaborates with the local police force to execute the mission. This strategic move aims to mislead Isabelle into believing she was abducted by the Matamoros cartel. Engaging in police procedures, Alejandro takes Isabelle to a secure location for interrogation, maintaining the charade until Matt issues further instructions. Before progressing with the mission, Matt and Alejandro seek assistance from their trusted ally, Rafael, to navigate the complexities ahead. In a strategic move, Matt plans to relocate Isabelle near the Matamoros cartel's base, aiming to instigate a war between the two major cartels. Rafael, fully supportive, offers assistance in executing this critical phase. Following the meeting, as Matt is about to depart, his encounter with Miguel in the parking lot leads to a tense exchange, catching the attention of Alejandro. A mutual recognition unfolds between Miguel and Alejandro as the former realizes the car's connection to American law enforcement. In the evening, Miguel, accompanied by Hector, ventures to Mexico and encounters Gallo, a high-ranking member of the Matamoros cartel. Hector facilitates Miguel's initiation into the cartel. Simultaneously, preparations are made for Isabelle's transfer to the Matamoros area, with Alejandro ensuring her safety by providing a bulletproof vest. The transfer proceeds smoothly initially, with Rafael's collaboration ensuring minimal interference from rival gangs. However, Isabelle's behavior raises suspicions for Matt, and when they deviate from the planned route onto remote dirt roads, the situation intensifies. Suddenly, the team faces an unexpected attack by the federal police, seemingly influenced by Carlos Reyes. Forced to confront the assailants, Matt and Alejandro find themselves in a fierce firefight. In the chaos, Isabelle seizes the opportunity to escape. Despite the challenges, Matt's team manages to strategically encircle the attackers, turning the tide in their favor. Discovering that the attackers were Carlos' men posing as police, Matt swiftly eliminates the threat. Meanwhile, Alejandro, determined to locate Isabelle, receives a tracking chip from Matt to aid in potential assistance. As Alejandro searches for Isabelle, Matt faces another obstacle, a Mexican police car blocking his way. Frustrated, Matt resorts to force to clear the path, enabling his team to successfully return to the United States. Simultaneously, Isabelle, attempting to seek help from a passerby, inadvertently encounters one of her father's subordinates. Unwilling to return home, Isabelle resists, prompting Alejandro to intervene, incapacitate the subordinate, and transport Isabelle to safety. Aware of Alejandro's involvement, Isabelle grapples with the unfolding situation. The scene transitions to a military base where Matt and Cynthia engage in a heated argument, setting the stage for further developments in their mission. Frustrated by the abrupt cancellation of their operation due to the national outcry over the killing of a Mexican policeman, Matt confronts the ministry's decision. Despite the setback, Alejandro remains in Mexico with Isabelle. To navigate the challenging situation, they seek assistance from Angel, a kind deaf resident, and communicate using sign language. Meanwhile, the ministry, in an emergency meeting with Matt, Cynthia, and Steve Forsing, decides to arrest Isabelle as a witness to the reported shooting. Cynthia takes charge of the mission, instructing Matt's team to locate Isabelle through the tracking device. Matt, torn by doubt, hesitates to jeopardize Alejandro's revenge. The ministry's directive creates a moral dilemma for Matt, who is reluctant to harm Isabelle, recognizing the impact on Alejandro's pursuit of justice. In the midst of this, Isabelle enjoys a meal prepared by Angel and his wife. Simultaneously, Matt contacts Alejandro, urging him to eliminate Isabelle. However, Alejandro refuses, determined to prioritize his mission to eliminate Carlos Reyes over complying with the ministry's orders. Simultaneously, the Matamoros cartel resumes its covert operation of smuggling illegal immigrants, appointing Miguel as a guide for this mission. It marks Miguel's inaugural task as a newly initiated member of the cartel. Navigating through challenging terrain, including bushes and rivers, the immigrants reach their destination, where a freight truck awaits to transport them further. Meanwhile, Alejandro is focused on preparing weapons for his border crossing mission to confront Carlos Reyes. In the midst of his preparations, Isabelle reveals that she is aware of his true identity and acknowledges her father's involvement in Alejandro's family massacre. Despite this knowledge, Isabelle expresses her willingness to assist Alejandro, opting for a disguise by cutting her hair and adopting the alias Karina. Alejandro and Isabelle promptly set out for the border, with Alejandro activating the tracking chip discreetly placed in Isabelle's shoes, anticipating assistance from Matt. Their journey leads them to an illegal immigrant post controlled by the Matamoros cartel. The stage is set for a complex and high-stakes confrontation. Meanwhile, Matt and his team are in the process of preparing to reach Alejandro's location using a helicopter to avoid detection by the Mexican police. In a parallel scenario, Hector approaches Alejandro, seeking payment, and receives $1,000 from him. Initially, Alejandro's plan unfolds according to its design. However, complications arise when Miguel unintentionally recognizes Alejandro's face, realizing they had met before. Panicked, Miguel reports to Hector, falsely identifying Alejandro as a policeman. In response, Hector feigns cooperation, purportedly taking Alejandro to the border. Yet, upon reaching a desolate area, Hector and his associates turn hostile, brandishing guns and confiscating Alejandro's weapons. Isabelle is also removed from the bus. Maintaining composure, Alejandro attempts negotiation with Gallo, claiming allegiance to Carlos Reyes and expressing a desire to return Isabelle safely. He warns of impending cartel warfare and the potential destruction of Matamoros if the mission fails. However, Gallo remains skeptical, opting to resort to violence and ordering his henchman, Jose, to shoot Alejandro. The unfolding events create a tense and critical situation. However, Gallo hesitated to carry out the killing, leading him to shoot Jose instead. Seizing the opportunity, Gallo handed the gun to Miguel, who promptly shot Alejandro. Believing Alejandro to be dead, Gallo and his men departed, leaving Alejandro stranded in the desert. Unbeknownst to them, Matt observed the murder through the tracking camera, unable to contain his sorrow. Enraged, Matt directed his team to retaliate against Gallo and his associates. Meanwhile, as Miguel journeyed toward the cartel headquarters, he grappled with overwhelming guilt for taking a life. To his surprise, Alejandro, not dead but wounded, exhibited signs of life. Miguel's shot had hit Alejandro's cheek rather than a fatal area. Shortly after, the helicopter successfully closed in on Gallo's group. Matt and his team swiftly launched a relentless attack, mercilessly eliminating the cartel members. In a departure from Cynthia's orders, Matt chose not to kill Isabelle, opting instead to take her into witness protection. This decision marked a deviation from the official directive. As the day grew hotter, Alejandro, despite losing a significant amount of blood, managed to free his hands. With determination, he untied himself and commandeered Gallo's car, disposing of the deceased cartel member's body inside. While on the road, Alejandro faced an unexpected attack from Matamoros cartel members. Reacting swiftly, he hurled a grenade at their vehicle. A year later, Miguel was observed working at a food stall. Venturing into the kitchen, he encountered Alejandro, who was aware of Miguel's aspiration to become a hitman. Understanding Miguel's ambitions, Alejandro made the decision to mentor him in the deadly art. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.